The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth, your opening statement, please. The prosecution will show the court at 2:30 on October 15th the defendant, Mr. Will Powers, killed fellow actor Jack Hammers at Studio 1 of Global Studios. It is impossible for anyone else to have committed this heinous crime. The evidence presented during this trial will all point to this fact. I see. Very well, I'd like to move on to your state testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, the prosecution may call its first witness. First, I would like to call a familiar face, Detective Gumshoe, to the stand. Detective, if you would briefly describe this case to the court. Yes, sir. I'll explain with the guide map here. To understand this case, it's important to grasp the layout of the studio, see? This here is the employee area. The actors did a run-through of their action scenes during the morning here. This is the main gate to the studios. The security lady that works at the studios were here at 1 p.m. on that day. Past the security station, there's a gate, see? Past that, there are the studios. And here it is, Studio 1. This is the scene of the murder, where the body was found. Now, on the day of the murder, October 15th, there were only 3 people here. The victim, Jack Hammer, the defendant, Will Powers, and a young woman, the production assistant. All the production staff were in the employee area until noon. And then after lunch, the victim, Jack Hammer, went to Studio 1. Right after that, at 1 p.m., the studio security lady got to the guard station. Now jump ahead to later that day, 5 p.m. The production staff came to Studio 1 to perform a rehearsal. Needless to say, the rehearsal was canceled. The time of death was 2:30 p.m. The samurai spear found lodged in the victim's chest was the murder weapon. That's the case in brief. Anyone like to hear that again? I should listen to the whole thing again? No. I think I can probably remember that. So the murder weapon was a spear. How medieval. Okay. Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, this case is quite simple if you ask one question. And that question is, what did the security lady at the guard station see? Understood. Let's call this security officer to the stand. Will the witness declare her name? My, aren't you a handsome fellow? Oh my god, oh god, now I'm getting a southern woman accent. Oh, except it's actually really fitting her. I'm afraid I'm a bit flustered. Your name, please. Oh, dearie, no need for you to be embarrassed. Just call me Grandma. Your name, please. Seems Edgeworth has a bit of trouble getting his witnesses to say their names. Wendy Oldbag, dearie. So just call me Grandma. It's practically my name. So when I was young, I was Oldbag, but not really an Oldbag. Still, the other children would make fun of me. Believe it or not, there was a boy on the captain called me Oldbag. He called me an Oldbag. Well, I was sad. I was crying. Objection. I object to the witness's talkativeness. Objection sustained. The witness will refrain from rambling on the stand. I love that that's actually a legitimate objection, though. Like, even in real court, you can just basically tell the witness to shut the fuck up. Object and tell them to just answer the question and keep it to the question. It's amazing, and I love it. Oh, it's my favorite. I was just getting to the good part, dearie. Perhaps we can get it to the testimony. Now the witness was stationed at the main gate on the day of the murder, correct? Yes, see, I was. And to get to the scene of the murder, someone would have to pass by you. Well, I mean, unless they came from Studio 2. You know your stuff, dearie. Stop. You may begin your testimony. She sure is one hell of an old bag. On the day of the murder, I arrived at the guard station at 1 p.m. Poor old Hammer and the rest had been doing a run through there since the morning. Well, I had some errands to run that morning. Anyway, it was 1 when I got to the guard station. I was at the main gate from then until 5. Now the murder happened at 2:30 p.m., right? Interesting to me, because a certain man walked right by me at 2 p.m. It was Powers, that man right there, and he was heading towards the studio. You saw the defendant then, Very well, let's begin the cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. Witness account. Okay. How did you know about this? A run-through? They were working out a scene between the Steel Samurai and the Evil Magistrate. They got the basics figured out by noon and were to use the afternoon for practice. Rehearsal was supposed to start at 5 p.m. That's why old Hammer went to Studio 1 in the afternoon. So Powers was in his dressing room sleeping when he was supposed to be practicing. Talk about a laid-back hero. There was a run-in through in the morning. Why did you only get there afternoon? I had some errands to run in this morning. Like? What kind of errands? Oh, well, you know. No. Answer the question. Actually, I was watching poor Hammer and Powers, observing, you know? Observing? Weren't you supposed to be at the guard station? Whippersnapper, I told you I locked the gate, didn't I? I did my job. I'm not sure your boss would see it that way. Anyway. I always watch Hammer's run through. Always. I never missed one in all my years. Wow, and I want to see a Steel Samurai run through too. You could quit being a spear medium and take up a guard duty. Not a bad idea. Anyway, there's one when I got to the ghost. Yeah, I don't care. You'd have no proof. Let me get this straight. Oldbag, Miss Oldbag. You've been saying since yesterday that you saw Mr. Powers, correct? But you're talking about the man in this photo, aren't you? Just a moment, Mr. Wright. Let me see that photo. I mean, it's clearly not him. What is this exactly? None other than the Steel Samurai, defender of Neo Tokyo. Miss Oldbag, is this the Mr. Powers that you saw? Of course, didn't your mama teach you any sense, sonny? Anyone can plainly see that's Powers, right? Yeah. Well, I wonder. True, Mr. Powers does play the role of the Steel Samurai. But that doesn't mean Mr. Powers is the Steel Samurai. I know that. I wasn't born yesterday. No one in the court is accusing you of that, Miss Witness? He's having trouble calling her Oldbag, apparently. I give him 10 more minutes. However, you do not have proof that the person in this photo is Mr. Will Powers, do you? Nosy old man. Of course I have proof. What? Huh? Even Edgeworth is surprised. The prosecution would like to ask the old witness, please make known all the information in your possession ahead of time. How was I to know everyone would be so nosy? You should be ashamed, all of you. Anyway, I showed that photo to the young detective. He told me this isn't any good as evidence, pal. He didn't even give it a second look. Wow, old Windbag has left even Edgeworth speechless. She's good. Let's hear about your proof, then. I never say anything I don't mean, mind you. That morning during the run-through of the action scene, I saw Powers trip and fall. He broke one of the props and it was a big mess. Apparently he sprained his ankle pretty bad. Now look at the picture. You can see he's dragging his leg, see? Clear as day. That's how I knew it was Powers. Happy? So he had sprained his ankle. Very well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine. She's got to be hiding something. I'll press her until she squeals. Sounds like my kind of day. I never say anything I don't mean, mind you. Whippersnapper. Hey, I haven't said anything yet. I'll have you know, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone behind their backs. Everything I've said is on the straight and narrow, the up and up. Youth today always whining about each other, pointing the finger. It's not enough to make an old woman cry. Mr. Wright, please, for all our sakes, try not to upset the witness. I think Edgeworth has met his match. That morning during the run-through of the action scene, I saw Powers trip and fall. Trip and fall? Yes, and to think he's supposed to be the Steel Samurai. What a laugh. So Powers sprained his ankle. I helped make it better for him, of course. You helped make it better? I kissed it where it hurt. Let's just skip over that part, shall we? Where was the assistant then? Oh, she was cleaning up backdrops, I think. She didn't know about the Powers angle. You may continue your testimony. He broke one of the props. It was a big mess. He broke a prop. Sure did. His own samurai spear. His samurai spear, the murder weapon. Luckily, I was there with my duct tape to fix it. This strikes me as a significant detail. Wow, that's really convenient. I'd better write this down in the court record. Apparently, he sprained his ankle pretty bad. Are you a doctor? How do you know he sprained his ankle? Was Mr. Powers' ankle badly sprained? Not so bad that he couldn't walk around. He went to his dressing room to rest up after lunch. Thus the nap. Anyway, I saw him dragging his foot when he walked. Dragging his foot. Okay. I think we've heard enough, haven't we, Your Honor? Well, there is one thing that bothers me, which is, where's the Steel Samurai costume now? Actually, well, we can find it. We're looking, though. Anyway, that's not important. The witness did see the Steel Samurai, yes? And it is clear that the person in the Steel Samurai suit was Mr. Will Powers. I suppose that's right. Are you sure, Your Honor? Objection! Hold it right there. We keep talking about possibilities, but we have to agree that this photo shows the Steel Samurai. Nowhere in this photo can we see Mr. Will Powers. The defense has a point. I also wonder if someone else not caught on camera could have killed Mr. Hammer. We have to consider that possibility also. Someone could have gone before 1 p.m. Or came from Studio 2. Like, came before 1 p.m., hid in Studio 2, and then went to go kill him once they saw him pass. Then allow me to remove that doubt from your mind, Your Honor. Will the witness continue her testimony, please? No need to ask twice. The time of poor Hammer's death was 2:30 p.m., true? The only person I saw go to the studio before then was Will Powers. No one else went there. If they had, I would have seen them. So if no one else went to the studio, then it would have been the Steel Samurai who did it. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine. Oh boy. The time of poor Hammer's death was 2 p.m. How do you know that? Oh, how do you know that? Didn't I just explain? I gave donuts to the young detective. And then after some rubbish about it being a secret pal, he told me everything. I see Detective Gumshoe shares his fellow officer's fondness for donuts. The only person I saw go to the studio before then was Will Powers. No one else went there. If they had, I would have seen them. What do you have? Are you sure? The witness has answered the question. Anyone going into the studio had to pass the witness. That's right, Sonny. And let him have it, edgy boy. Edgy boy? Old windbag sure has balls. Well, you know what I mean. Old windbags have a way of skipping over important details after all. Or for that matter, entirely forgetting them. How convenient. Something for you to look forward to, perhaps. The time before Hammer's death was 2:30. The only person I saw go to the studio before then was Will Powers. You still don't know it was him. Hold on. Look at this photo one more time. The photo was taken by the camera at the gate for the studios, correct? Yes, sirree, Sonny. So whenever anyone passes by here, it automatically takes a picture. And here, I thought you didn't know your head from a hole in the ground. Right, anyway. It's also true that the computer in the guard station records all security cam data. Oh, you know, if you wanted to work at the studio, we might have an opening. That very computer printed out this photo. Note that on the back of the photo are printed the words October 15th, 2 p.m. Photo number 2. Even I don't know what that means. It was taken at 2 p.m. on October the 15th. Really, Sonny? Actually, I knew that too. The issue here is the bit at the end where it says photo number 2. Photo number 2? The computer only held data for one photo that day. Don't you think that's odd? Shouldn't this photo be photo number 1 if it really was the only photo? Order, order. Please tell the court what you mean by this, Mr. Wright. Actually, that's what I want to ask the witness. This evidence shows that not 1, but 2 people went to the studio that day. See, the thing it also leaves open, how do we know, like, there isn't more? Like, if there's not a photo number 1, there could be a photo number 3 as well. If there's only data for one of the photos, who could have erased the other data for the other photo? Only someone with access, the security lady herself. You watch your mouth, whippersnapper. The only person I saw that day was Will Powers. But the camera on the gate fired twice. That means 2 people went by. Well, yes, that's what it would seem to mean. Can the witness explain this to the court? Ahem. I don't understand these newfangled computer things. Edgy boy, help. Huh? Believe me, I want to, but I don't know what this means either. Some help you want. You're a whippersnapper too. Whippersnapper. Something the matter, Miss Oldbag? Ah, that's right. I just remembered something. Let me guess. Someone else passed by the gate. Someone other than the steel samurai. Well, yes, I suppose you could put it that way. I see. Your testimony, please. Every day after I finish my guard duties, I have one important job to do. I go through the photos recorded on the security camera and check them. I throw out any photos that aren't suspicious looking, you see. We're talking on a murder day, on a day a murder occurred. You don't throw anything out. You're aiding and abetting in this crime at the very least. You're tampering with evidence and hindering police investigation. I'm going to have you formally charged if you do not say what was in those photos. Come to think of it, now I remember throwing out one photo that day. Miss Oldbag, this is the first I've heard of this. Well, of course, Sonny. I've only just remembered it. Right, anyway, Mr. Wright, please begin the cross-examination. Well, I'd say this was a turn of unexpected, but I kind of expected this. The other person. Check them. I throw out any photos that aren't suspicious. How exactly to determine what it isn't suspicious looking? Oh, you can tell by looking at their faces, for the most part. For the most part? So you're telling me you could have possibly deleted crucial information to this case, and we're just supposed to believe that that's the only photo you erased? How do we know you haven't erased the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th? Where a whole trapes of people just happen to walk past. You were frankly the most unreliable witness at this point, and nothing you have said to this point has lended any credence to your testimony. It has completely been undermined by the fact that you deleted this information. This is a murder trial, Miss Oldbag. Well, I didn't touch that suspicious look in Will Powers' photo, did I? That's because you were trying to set him up for murder. I think she's missing the point. At the very least, set him up for murder. What was in the photo? Who in the heck was in that photo you erased? A fanboy. Fanboy? Steel Samurai fanboys, real freaks if you ask me. They get information about the rehearsal from gosh knows where. They're always hanging about. One was there that day. Wait a second. Didn't you just say no one else could get in? I locked the main gate so no one could get in. Those were your words. Well, if you must know, there's a train that goes into the employee area. The grate has been loose for a while. That leads outside, and well, that's where they come in. They come in through the drain. I told you they were freaks. Oh, and... they're kids, children, whippersnappers. Kids? So on the photo that you erased, it was a boy, probably 2nd or 3rd grade. You understand, I cannot believe anything you've said at this point. Because there is no reason for me to believe that is the truth, because you've tampered with crucial evidence in this murder case. What? Order, order. Let me get this straight. You saw 2 people pass by the gate on their way to the studio that day. One was the Steel Samurai dragging his leg. The other was a boy who looked about in the 2nd or 3rd grade. Oh yes, well, we see his type there every day. Can't stop him, can't catch him. A boy in the 2nd or 3rd grade, huh? I assume it would be hard, if not impossible, for a young boy to wield the samurai spear. Impossible, I think it's quite heavy. Right, as I said, I didn't pay him much mind. That's why I erased the data. Nick, what's going on? I mean, the boy was there. That makes him a suspect. Yeah, and they're already trying to unsuspect him. I'd like to take a 5-minute recess. I want the defense and prosecution to consider this new information. And no forgetting vital information this time. October 18th, 11:08, District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Mr. WP? Yes. Tell me straight, were you really in your dressing room? You didn't go to the studio? I didn't go to the studio, I was sleeping, honest. So who's the Steel Samurai in that security photo? How should I know? The Steel Samurai costume was off in the corner of the dressing room. Anyone could have walked in and taken it, really. What? You should have take better care of that stuff. I wouldn't imagine anyone would want to steal a Steel Samurai costume. So where does this leave me? It doesn't look good. You're the only likely suspect right now. Nick! What are you doing? What are we going to do? First, we play for more time. We'll start targeting someone else that could conceivably have done this. Right? And it'll take them so long to shoot us down that we can get another day. Right, but if we pick the wrong person, we might lose on the spot. You don't sound very optimistic. I'm not optimistic at all, actually. Hey, Nick, it's time. Okay, let's go. What does that mean? Please don't sigh like that. Sniff. That was not a fucking 5-minute recess. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Mr. Willpowers. Mr. Edgeworth, will you present the prosecution's thought on this matter? The prosecution thoughts are simple. Nothing has changed. The other person who went to the studios was a boy of roughly 10 years of age. The photo we do have may not be hard evidence. But there is still no one else that could have committed this crime. I call for the verdict of guilty for the defendant, Mr. Willpowers. Very well, Mr. Wright, your thoughts. The defense disagrees with the prosecution's claim. There is another person who could have committed the crime. Chatter. Order, interesting. Let us hear what who you have in mind. However, be aware that this court does not look kindly on accusing the innocent. If you accuse someone who is obviously innocent, you will be penalized. Right. Great, as if the stakes weren't high enough. So who was this other person that Mr. Powers could have committed murder? Well, it's either this assistant girl or security lady. The schoolboy wouldn't have been able to pick up the spear and stab a 30-year-old man. The question is the assistant. Which one would buy us more time? That's the real question. Honestly, I would say probably the security lady will buy us more time. It was the security lady, Wendy Oldbag. Who? The Steel Samurai is dragging his leg in this picture. That means whoever was in the suit knew about that morning's injury. Maybe because they had been watching the action scene run through. There was only one person other than Powers and Hammer who knew about the about the injury. The security lady, Oldbag. What? Whippersnapper? Order. Is this true, Oldbag? Oldbag? That's Miss Oldbag to you. Miss Oldbag was standing guard alone at the main gate. She was by herself. In other words, she has no alibi. She would have briefly left her post to steal the Steel Samurai costume. Then slipped into Studio 1, the scene of the murder. Why would she go through the trouble wearing the Steel Samurai costume? Simple, Your Honor. She knew the camera at the gate would take her picture. If she was in this costume, she would point the finger at Mr. Powers. I see. Excellent deductive reasoning, Mr. Wright. Oh yeah, right here. Sherlock Holmes 2, baby. Or Sherlock Holmes II. That's odd. Isn't this the part where Edgeworth pounces? No, he wants to see her fucking in jail. Doesn't he usually jump up with an objection and some new damning evidence? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, does the prosecution have an opinion on this matter? The prosecution has no meaningful objections at this time. Please, send her to jail. What's that supposed to mean? Oh, so you all think I did it, is that it? Edgy boy, don't just sit there, do something. What's my move? Maybe now's my chance to take this the whole way. Nah, press. The very same reasoning that makes Mr. Powers a suspect in this case can be used to cast doubt on Miss Oldbag's actions on that day. But why would I do such a something so horrible to poor Hammer? You forgot that Mr. Powers lacks a clear motive too. Indeed. That did it. Now Windbag is one of the suspects. No hard feelings, I hope. Wait just a minute. What about the other person who went to the studio? The boy, the one whose photo I erased. He's only a grade schooler, though, as you said. 2nd or 3rd grade, wasn't it? That doesn't matter. When I was that age, I could pin my old man in 10 seconds tops. Your thoughts, Mr. Wright? That boy's not the killer. What? How can you be so sure? Oh, or is it be nice to the kids and mean to your elders, day whippersnapper? I have proof. Proof? Indeed, then let's see this proof, Mr. Wright. You have proof that shows the boy could not have committed the murder. I mean... It would be this thing, right? I mean, he couldn't have been able to pick it up. Your Honor, the murder weapon was the samurai spear. The very spear is shown here in this photo. How could the boy have taken the spear? It's impossible. I see. Well, would the witness care to comment on this? The windbag. Speechless. This has got to be a first. Very well. Guilty. The score will suspend proceedings on the current trial for today. Mr. Edgeworth, please find out more about your witness, Miss Windy. What was her name? Something Oldbag, Your Honor. Then the prosecution will look further into this Oldbag before we continue. That is all. The court's adjourned. Thank you very much.